powerful than hearing from people that are doing it just like you want to do and modeling that behavior. If you didn't get any other takeaway from that, consistency was in every one of them. And then Laura added a great part of this business. It's about relationship. If you're transactional, your business will not go very far. It has to be beyond that. You have to build relationship. And that's what I love about this business. Hi, Wendy Didda. I didn't know you were coming in from Slidell. Good to see you. So you beat the guy from San Antonio. Sorry. Wendy now drove the farthest from Slidell, Louisiana. Guys, let's keep it moving. This next part you're going to love, and it really is the core of who we are as a company, and there's no one really more qualified than Coach Carla Ferrer. She is someone that's dedicated her life to help people with their life, with weight loss and nutrition and health. She was a nurse, and I guess once you're a nurse, you're always a nurse. So I hate to say she was a nurse. She was trained as a nurse. She's not acting presently as a nurse. She's now Coach Carla. But it's my honor to bring her to the stage today to talk to you and really dig into our core product, IDNutrition. Carla Ferrer.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. So are you guys excited about everything you've heard so far? You really should be, and what you're going to hear right now, many of you have already kind of become very familiar with it, but it's always great to hear it from different perspectives because as Scott alluded to just now, it really is the foundation of ID Life. And it was what I'm about to show you that without question, unequivocally, had me step out from being retired back into the health and wellness space. Most of you probably know my story, so that was a huge step for me. And the credibility and the science and everything had to be there. I had no reason to come in to do this. And so it's really important that you understand that this tool, the assessment, is what will in fact build an extraordinary legacy of a company for ID Life, for yourselves, for everyone already in and yet those to come, because it is such a powerful tool. So much so that many of you probably saw or know that I've even really tackled the medical community, educating and informing doctors of all specialties. And needless to say, you've all seen the results, right? And that speaks volume because I'm just getting started. I'm taking over this country in the medical community because everyone needs to know about this. So here we go. I mean, the reality is that IDNutrition is second to none. It absolutely can prevent disease, reverse disease, and most definitely enhance the quality of life. And it all begins with this one realistic statistic. North of 75%, I'm quoting the Surgeon General here, north of 75% of deaths that occur had some cofactor related to nutrient deficiencies. Really let that statistic sink in. That is a very powerful statement. Because if you think about the world we live in, it's convenient, isn't it? But convenience is killing us. And so even in cases where you think that you're keeping a very clean and healthy diet, I can tell you for a fact that you cannot consume all the nutrition that you need. If you've ever even attempted, for those of you that are really on the extreme side of health, juicing and doing that, anybody in here ever juice? Right? So you go shopping and you spend a ton of money on organic greens and what have you. You come home and you have a kitchen counter full of stuff, right? You juice it and you end up with one glass. Right? And can you realistically do that forever? No. Well, the truth of the matter is that IDNutrition is going to fill those gaps. And it's also going to counteract a lot of underlying conditions and medications and things like that that I'm going to elaborate on. And it begins with this assessment. Now, understand that we talk and we often drop the layman. It's, you walk around kind of like Alyssa alluded to, that you don't really know what you're doing. You're kind of chaos on fire, right? And that's perfect because you don't have to be an expert. But all of you are walking around saying, well, it's HIPAA, it's HIPAA. And many people don't really even understand what that is. Let me share with you how powerful that is. That is a federal certification. HIPAA is governed by the Federal Department of Health and Human Services. That is the sister agency to the FDA and to everything else federally. This is a serious thing. It's much more than just the forms you sign when you go into your doctor's office, and it's the privacy factor and all of that. But that is a huge credible piece to this aspect, that we would have that in our real-time reporting, our science-based assessment. So understand and really appreciate that, because when you get into this assessment, you've set it up, it's completely confidential, as we know. You then begin begins with common questions, your height, your age, your weight, but then it starts to dig in deep. And there's a reason for that, because of the fact that we are evidence-based. Thousands, nearly 7,000 medical journal entries are uploaded into the system. Medications are cross-referenced with the PDR. Everything is up to date. So that as you're answering these questions and you're sharing about yourself, the true self, it's going to, through algorithms, cross-reference all of that data with the science, third-party clinical trials, not ID Life's opinion, but Western medicine, what the world has to say. It's going to cross-reference that for you, and it's going to generate this phenomenal report. But now here's the power of this assessment, is that it will get very in-depth in personal questions beyond just what part of the country you live in, which is a key factor. Because for those of us that live here in the South, fair enough to say we get way more sun exposure than someone that lives in the far north. So that's going to drive some of your need for D. Agreed? But then it's going to ask personal questions. And I love this one because having been in healthcare my entire career, I know that when you come to a healthcare professional, it's because you trust them. But here's what I also know. The healthcare professional cannot trust you. They can't. Because how often have you been asked the question, do you drink? And oh yeah, you're chuckling because you know. And you say, oh, socially. Well, what does that mean? Oh, one or two. When in truth, you're downing a bottle of wine every night. I'm not judging. Okay. It is what it is. I've done it on occasion too. All right. But it's not a comfortable question to answer. But here's the beauty of the fact that you can take this online assessment privately, completely confidential, and you can answer the truth. Because the truth is maybe you drink 4 drinks a night. Fine. Not judging you, but here's what the assessment then, based on the science, knows. You need a little bit more, or perhaps way more, liver support than someone who doesn't. So it's going to factor that into your IDNutrition. So as it's going through this, it's very powerful, because above every question, you'll see that there's that little blue dot with the question mark. It's also a very powerful educational tool to the layman and to the healthcare professional, because it will share with you why you're being asked this question. As you're going through, you're going to add in everything that ails you. Your family history, because the science is going to factor in hereditary factors that we'll talk about when I get to the last page of this powerful tool. But it's going to get very in-depth on your diet. Again, not to judge you, but because no matter what diet you're doing, whether it's paleo, Atkins, Jenny Craig, McDonald's, doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's looking for the deficiencies, because all of those diets are not perfect. And for those of you that know me, know that I'm about eating real food, living real life, and not being on a diet. But how do you fill the gap? By answering a powerful tool, but you have to use it. Don't just send people the link of, here's the health assessment, take it. Take your time to go through with it. Go through it with them in the same manner I'm explaining it to you. Let's click on this. Here's why you're being asked this question. Understand the science, that it's cross-referencing that data for you. The reason it wants to know about what diet you're on, even if you seem perfectly fit, is because there are deficiencies. The apple today is not the apple when I was a child. Why? Because of soil depletions, changes in the world, period. So you get to educate people as you go. It's very, very powerful, because it's going to get into family history, your conditions, everything. Now, you want to take the time to explain this. The reason I'm insisting upon that is because if you've ever had this happen, and I know that you all have, or you're lying, they took the assessment and they didn't buy, right? It's because several factors happened. One, they weren't clear on what they were doing, or they thought they got to the end and checked out and they didn't. Number two, they didn't really understand the power of cross-referencing why they were being asked the question, why the recommendations page came up, what they really needed to do when they get through the assessment and they're going through all of these questions and they get to what I consider to be the heart of this, which is essentially conditions and medications. You need to educate them on 2 things. Number 1, take your time to go A through Z of your conditions, because it's not just medical diagnoses that are being factored in here, but also acute symptoms. Back pain, headache, Explain to them to take their time to go through. It will add them. You can update this. If they did something by mistake, click remove. Take the time to go through it. The people that are doing that are having a near 100% close on being able to share IDNutrition. Would that not be amazing? You took the time to share this with someone. Take the 10 minutes or so to actually go through it. The more you go through it, the more comfortable you're going to get, the better educated you're going to become. And without question, the most effective way of building this business and sharing a life-changing, life-saving product is to take the time. So don't just be uploading it on Facebook and invite everybody to take the assessment. Don't just be emailing it, but follow through. Really take the time to do that. Understand that this doesn't address, as I said, just medical conditions, but also acute conditions. But because it's science evidence-based, if a condition you or that individual may have is not listed, if a medication is not listed, we didn't miss anything, y'all. ID Life's got this. What that means is that that particular medication has no evidence to support any contraindication in our product line. Does that make sense? I cannot tell you how many of you will inbox me or text me or what have you with, something's not right. No, it is perfect. It's the science we have. Okay, it's everything that's available. So understand and educate people. But at the same time, that applies to conditions too. If someone has something rather unique and extraordinary, but that doesn't have any contraindication, it won't be listed either. Are you clear? But understand, how powerful is that? Because I've gone through this list in great detail, and I honestly cannot think of a single acute complaint that's not on here. And with the exception of maybe one or two very complex diagnoses, everything I've ever studied or learned is on here. How powerful is that? I've had tens upon hundreds of doctors at this point looking at this that are rolling this out so effectively in their practices because they too are learning to slow down to speed up. They're learning to extend their patient visit from maybe a limited vision to a visit to an extended visit, to take the time to go through the assessment with their patients. That's actually a double win for a doctor. For many of you that ask me questions about how do you roll this out in a physician's practice, you educate the doctor. Doctors are brilliant. They're doctors. But they also have only had, at best, even if they were Ivy League, maybe 4 to 6 weeks of nutrition their entire academic career. So they love evidence. They love literature. They want the scientific facts, and we have them. So take the time to really explain that and point that out. Now, as you're doing that, as I shared here, then you're going to do the same thing with the conditions and medications. When you've compiled all this information into the system, it's going to generate a report, a free health report that brings tremendous value to everyone and every organization. But it's not what you say, but rather how you say it. So one of the reasons why I'm stressing it, take your time and really appreciate what you really are sitting on. Because understand that this is science-based. That means essentially that as you're taking this, as we are sharing this, it is like having a physician, dietitian, nutritionist, scientist, pharmacist, all looking at you, the individual, for free. If you understand posture in the marketplace, given where we are with healthcare today, it is a hot mess. It is a hot mess. Given the fact that we spend more as a nation on healthcare than we do national defense, and yet that money is not going into the physicians' pockets. If you consider that doctors are seeing anywhere on average, your elite specialties, 20 patients a day up to north of 90. If you explain it to them in that same manner, you're going to explain it to all the individuals. So very, very powerful. And the report will educate you because it will show you from red to light areas that are hot spots, areas that you need to focus on and concentrate. Very, very key. But here's the beauty of it. You then get to the delivery of the science. It goes on to say, here's what you need. You all know that it gives it based on chronobiology, the fact that it will designate these are to be taken in the morning versus at night, because there's a huge distinction. The body works on its own internal clock and will only absorb based on what it's designed to function and do, and not because you're taking it at a different time. Take a great supplement at the wrong time, and what you have is basically expensive pee for the day. Okay? Reality. We've taken the guesswork out of that. We go on to compile the report, and here's the evidence. It's established what you need, how much you need, what time of day you need it. It's educated you on what the supplement is, and then you click that Y box and the magic happens, because it goes on to provide for you the evidence that you can literally, from this report, copy paste any one of the articles, drop it into Google, and it will literally open the study. So whether it was, 1962 at Harvard, doesn't matter. See how powerful that is? Can you see, if you take your time to walk someone through this, how that might actually close it for you? Can you see how this would really help share the message and get everyone on IDNutrition, which everyone from age 12 up absolutely needs to be, without question? Very, very powerful. And then it goes on to give you the supplemental facts. You can click on that bar, and it will go on to tell you exactly what's in your packet. Very powerful. You can print that. You can take it to your doctors. A physician can make it part of their record. Irrelevant. You'll notice in that highlighted box, ID Life spares no expense in delivering the best product. And when it comes to Logan and Mark, they really spare no expense. And this was something that happened recently based on some new science. We had to tweak the formulas, and it was a very, very, very expensive tweak. And without hesitation, they did it. And so that's important for you to understand that you really are delivering, without question, the finest supplementation available in the industry. And it's delivered in convenience. Eco-friendly, chronobiology, done for you, dosed specifically to the individual. You can see from this screenshot it's very, very real. Rather than having a bunch of bottles on your counter, all of which, if they happen to have been carried more recently at Target, Walmart, Walgreens, GNC, well, we all know what the Attorney General had to say about that. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. The truth of the matter is we are an FDA GRAS-listed product, entirely natural and organic. You know that it's the best of the best, non-GMO, soy-free, lactose-free, casein-free, stevia-sweetened, safe for diabetics, cardiac patients. Amazing product. And you get it all in the convenience of a zip strip delivered to your door. So go with great confidence, because there is nothing better. Are we perfect? Absolutely not. Are we the best available in the world? Yes, we are. And this is a product that, without question, as I've said, is a total game changer. Add to that the rest of our line, you cannot fail. So take the time to really learn how to navigate through the health assessment, get the languaging down for yourselves powerfully and effectively, and go change lives. Thank you so much for your time.
Is Carla awesome or what? IDNutrition is the core of who we are. It's what's changing people's lives. So however you get them there, I heard somebody talking about, I forget who it was, I think it was Denise was telling me that she's got some of her most faithful customers that she has on IDNutrition came through sleep strips. If you have trouble sleeping and that sleep strip changes your life, you're wide open to hear about the rest of our products. That's why sampling works. And to get them on IDNutrition and that game changer, that's what it's all about.